popping and I'm letting them know. Strategic moves with Kenn Dowell radio show. Real talk, authentic trust, you don't want to miss it. Talking art, politics, culture, and business. Yeah, entertaining and educational, this is major. Special guests, I'm talking plenty movers and shakers. Cleveland in the house, the time is right now. Strategic moves radio show with Kenn Dowell. Time to motivate, inspire, and right now, this is what you need. And it's hosted by Kenn Dowell, art, politics, and culture. So let's go. Strategic moves with Kenn Dowell radio show. Let your voice be heard. Time to elevate. Ay, call in or talk to me Tuesday. Ay, let your voice be heard. Time to elevate. 95.9 FM. Tune in and don't wait. What's on your mind Tuesday? Streaming on WOBU.org and 95.9 FM. And don't just listen. Jump in and be the conversation. Let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You're tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves Radio Show with Kenn Dowell, Dr. Heather Burton, Judge Michael Nelson, DJ Unicorn, and DJ True. Latif Hughes is in the house. We're here every Tuesday on WOVU 95.9 FM, right here in the heart of the city of Cleveland, right here on Kinsman Avenue, where it all happens. Every Tuesday it goes down, give you an opportunity not to just listen to us, but be a part of the conversation as well. We're going to have a phone line coming in next meeting, or next show, where you'll be able to actually really call on in and be a part of this whole conversation. We want to hear from you to make this thing more of a success, and we can get the conversation going more today. I want to give you a quick couple announcements before we get up and going. We have a new website that I want everybody to be aware of, and you're going to learn more about this coming in the future. It's called realpower.tv. That's realpower.tv. If you go to realpower.tv, that's going to be a platform where you can get all the news that's going on around the city of Cleveland, around the state, and some national news as well. Information about our Substacks, all stuff of that nature, shows that we then aired on our platform, shows that Dr. Heather Burton, Joe Little, myself, the radio show is live on there. If you go to that website now and you go to our website and you go to realtv.org, you should be able to see us live on that as well. So we're working out all of those tiny things. We're doing our tests to make things run, but it's our website where you can be a part of what we're going. Again, really keen, stay tuned in what the things we're doing as it relates to a network. If you like to be a part of that, if you got information, if you like to be one of our journalists that writes on that site, because we're looking for people who write as well. So if you're somebody who likes to get your information out there, you got an opinion, we got an opinion section as well where you can put your opinion in. We'd like to hear from you, and you could do that by going to realpower.tv and go to the contact section in there, leave information in there, and we will get back with you about how you can be a part of that and get your information out there. We're looking for writers. We're looking for people who would like to be a part of this. We're looking for people who got good storytellers, all of that, to be a part of that. Also, if you're watching us, you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the other platforms that are out there, so many of them these days, I want you to give us a real quick like, and leave us a comment there as well, so that you can be a part of the conversation that we're going to talk about today, because today's conversation is going to be one where we're going to talk about what's going on here in Cleveland, and that is who holds the badge, the fight to take back Cleveland Sheriff. Well, it's not Cleveland Sheriff, it's Cuyahoga County Sheriff. One of the things that's a big hot topic that's going on that kind of slides underneath the radar, that people always say, well, when did that happen? Man, I didn't know that was even going down. I didn't know we didn't. We're in the process now here in Cuyahoga County where coming up soon, we have an opportunity for the taxpayers, that's you, anybody else out there who pay taxes, gets an opportunity to pick whether or not you believe the sheriff in Cuyahoga County should be elected or should it stay appointed by the Cuyahoga County executive. That's going to be a whole discussion. We're going to talk with Judge Michael Nelson about that a little bit. Dr. Heather Burton, when she flies on in here, we're going to talk to her a little bit more about that as well as we go through. So that's one of the things. The other thing I want to get off and let everybody understand and get a good understanding about and bring to your attention is we got Freedom Summer Festival coming up on August 22nd. It's going to be from noon to 6 o'clock over at East 88th in St. Clair. We're going to be having our Freedom Summer Festival there. It's a festival for the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, opportunities for journalists, opportunity for poets and people of that nature, rapper. We're going to have a rap cipher that's going on. We're going to do a poetry slam, and that we're going to also do a couple of podcasts throughout the day as well to let talk about various different subjects and topics. We're going to give you more information on that as we dig through that. So again, I want you to make sure that you get an opportunity to tune in to our all of our social media platforms, so you can get an opportunity to look at that information and hear about it. If you go to realpower.tv and go to events, there's a section in there where you can get more information about it. That's realpower.tv. Go to events and you will be able to go there. Sign up if you want to be a vendor, because we're looking for some vendors to be out there for our resources. And if you got something you think is worth selling, or you want people to look at your goods, you can bring it out there and do that. And you can go to realpower.tv, and on our events page, you can register to do all of that. We're going to be doing an open mic that day too. And in our open mic, we're going to give opportunities for you to be able to come up and talk on the mic and tell us the subject that we're going to have for this open mic section is going to be, "This is why I don't vote." And that's going to be one of the things that we're going to be putting out. It's an open mic, and we want to hear from you. If you got fed up with the system, if you got your reasons why you don't think voting is important to you, or any of that, we'd like to hear from you and hear why. I want to get an opportunity to hear from you and find out why that's happening and why that happens all the time, or what makes you decide that at one point you were doing it and then you stopped. So it'll be very interesting to hear from anybody, to talk to us a little bit more about that when we get to that portion of the program as well. So that was my ramble for this morning. I'm about to talk to Miss DJ Unicorn, because we want to find out if there's anything that's going on in the hood, or anything that's going on in the city of Cleveland that we haven't had an opportunity to kind of talk about, or she think we should be paying attention to. So DJ, what's been happening?
Yeah, what's going on? How we doing? How we living? How we feeling, everybody?
Everything's everything.
Everything's everything. So the People's Office has a teen council, teen takeover reloaded, coming to you in a full court awareness with community impact, using basketball to raise awareness for missing children and unsolved cases, while connecting youth with opportunities, resources, and positive mentorship. So look, if you are a partner and you want to be involved with the youth, you're trying to get involved in some civic engagement, you're trying to get involved in some mentorship, we need you. CEO Block for our entrepreneurs and small businesses, so you can help mentor some youth in business and entrepreneurship. We need food vendors, clothing brands, community organizations, vision board station will be available for the kids to have a little fun and kind of, envision their future, because a lot of the complaints that I hear from the kids is they just don't know where the future is heading. So we are the masters of that. We can create that for them, with them. And that's the goal, right? And so also we got some youth programs and some sweet treats, of course. We ask that you invite 10 guests and personally invite 5 organizations as well. Share the event on your social media. You can follow us at project.ripplecle. Also, please, the Hello Neighbor campaign is still going on. So if you need a yard sign, again, you can reach out to project.ripplecle Instagram and just let us know, hey, I would love to be a part of the Hello Neighbor campaign, and we'll drop off a sign to you. You can join the the People's Office, brought to you by Project Ripple. And we love to just see the growth in this civic group. We love to continue to partner with civic groups that have been established and around well before us. And we're looking to just continue the work with the youth and make sure that not only they are seen and heard, but they have places and spaces where they can do what it is that they love to do. I would love to organize a teen takeover. Come down, since the kids like cars too, they like to race. Let's give them a safe environment to do that. And we have tracks around here. So that is the goal, the next super initiative. But right now, look, I want to see y'all at the next teen takeover. Thank you, Ken.
Next teen takeover. What is the next teen takeover? When is it again?
Oh, you said when?
Mm-hmm.
So the next teen takeover is going to be August. Excuse me. I didn't say the date, did I? Or where? Sunday, August 16th from 2 to 6 p.m. at the corner of East 4th Street and Huron Road. That's at the corner of East 4th and Huron Road from 2 to 6. Sunday, August 16th. And it's going to be a great time.
Now, they ain't going to be out there with those cars and all of that.
No. The
street,
focus that day is going to be basketball. The focus that day is going to be basketball and connecting with our youth, focusing our energies on unsolved cases and missing children.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that story a few days ago about the Black girls missing in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio, and the numbers are they've been insane. The numbers have been insane. And it's a conversation to be had. We need to talk about it. We need to come together as a community and look out for each other again. We need to stop letting our children go places by themselves. They need to move in units, 2 or more. Like, it's a lot of things we need to discuss, and those things and topics we will be discussing then. But the focus will be basketball, not racing.
That's cool. That's cool, because when they hear teen and takeover, that scared the bejesus out of people.
It does, and I think at this point, a lot of people are scared of the youth. A lot of them are scared of the youth because they feel like the youth lack respect. They feel like the youth lack presentation of self, how they dress. They run around in ski masks all day, and that's how they're comfortable. Whereas, who is teaching these children how to present themselves when they walk into different environments? Who is teaching these children, places and spaces? It's a time for everything. It's a place for everything, and you have to know when to use it and when to put it away. Do
somebody got to teach you that you don't supposed to wear a ski mask out in public and walk in the stores and places like that?
So imagine this, Ken. Your mama was never home. Your daddy, you don't know. So your only influence is your big cousins, your big homies in the street, and your peers. No, these kids don't know because no one's telling them. No one in your environment is saying, hey, you shouldn't walk into Walmart with a ski mask, and they're going to think you coming in to rob the place. They don't think, oh, I shouldn't wear these jeans to this job interview because I'm just going to a job interview. No one has told them, hey, presentation is key. Look yourself up and down. Would you hire you? If you don't, you only know from your level of experience and exposure.
I understand.
So am I saying have these kids not?
I mean, I don't think nobody tells that same kid you can't walk into a bank with that mask on, because he knows if I walk into this bank with this mask on, they're going to think I'm going to rob the place.
Yeah.
So the same theory should apply to that same kid. If I decide I'm going to walk in this store, if I'm going to walk into this restaurant, any of that, that's all. And I think sometimes it be choices. Sometimes over choice. I think sometimes I'm not mad at the kid who don't know, to your point. I'm not upset with the kid who has no choice. I wore these jeans to this interview, and I actually washed them last night. I got them together, but these are the only pair of jeans I got. That's why I need the job. I got that kid. But the ones who just do it just to do it, because and all them and they the ones who I'm talking about, because the kids are being influenced, right? But big homie, he can't go get a job like that, but he choose to do that anyway,
and he's also choosing not to convey that to the youth because that's not his focus either.
These are the same kids. Here, take the camera. Those are the same age kids. High school.
Man, this picture is black and white.
That's not the point. The point I'm showing you. This is the point I'm showing you, is that your influence determines how you're gonna present yourself. Those are the same age kids you're talking about right now, with that Unicorn was just describing. And see, peer pressure also helps direct how you're gonna act. Now, those kids dress that way. In that picture, that's an old picture, but it's typical. But the young people, they were high school kids. Their peers push them to dress that way. So it also because peer pressure has a great impact on how you're going to act. So if your peers are dressing the way you just described previously, and under the circumstance the unicorn described they grew up in, then they're going to emulate what their peers do. Those kids had different, they had different types of peers.
Different types of peers, and that's where I was going to go, because the guys who's wearing the shiesties, the guys who wearing all the other stuff we talked about, again, is a choice of where I'm at with that.
Where you want to fit in.
Where I fit in. If I'm with the street homies and I'm going to be hanging out on the block and everybody on the block is wearing shiesties for a reason, because they don't want people to know who they are because of the dirt that they're doing, then you're going to stand on the block and you're going to wear a shiesty, right? And I get that.
But flip that, because no one said none of these kids was gangsters. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Right.
Because some of this generation were the thugs.
Right.
But they presented themselves. You didn't know they were what they were. You didn't have any predisposed disposition about them until they showed themselves. Problem now is that our young people, as you've described them, are putting themselves at a disadvantage and presenting something they may not even be.
Most of them are. Most of the average teenager
totally
running around here in a shiesty all day long is just doing it for aesthetics.
Right.
Because
I'm 100% agree with you on that. Yeah, they ain't they're not there because they tell on each other.
And the standard, I will say, in today's day and age is just simply different. These kids can go to school in sweats and pajama pants, and not like when I went to school, we weren't allowed to pull up in pajama pants. And then when you did, you got talked about. You rolled out of bed this morning. Did you even brush your teeth? Ew.
Right.
And it was a standard.
Well, it was this thing with the bonnets. And I done did my show on the bonnets, man, you know, where people are walking around outside. They put them bonnets on their head and they go around and go to the stores and go walking around as if, you know, that's what, you know, is okay.
It's funny. I have this conversation, debate really with my friend often, because she be trying to come out the house just any old way with me. And I'd be like, no, you need to go back in the house and change. You ain't coming with me.
Right. Well, I got the girls.
Like, I don't care what people think about me. I know, and I'm secure in myself, and I know what I am, and I know how I walk and talk and what I do and what I'm capable of. And I know my accreditations and woo woo woo. But nobody else knows that when they look at you and you look like a bum.
And this is my thing. I always tell my girls this. I'm like, they be like, I'm just running to McDonald's, gonna do the drive-through or whatever. And I'll be like, that's not the issue. The issue is what happens if you get into an accident? What happens if somebody bumps? What happens? You got to get out the car. Now you got to get out the car. You looking like you just rolled out the bed. Like you say, you got your bonnet on, now you're standing out there looking crazy. So it does matter. Opportunity too. And I guess maybe this is the thing that most people don't get an opportunity to understand opportunity. You never know when your opportunity is going to come to you. So therefore, if you're never even in a position to prepare yourselves or be looking prepared or that, you could be standing in the line at Walmart easily. And Judge Nelson could be standing right behind you or in front of you. And he could be watching you, listening to you talk, and he can have a conversation with you off the cuff. Don't mean anything. And he may say, you know what? I met this girl in Walmart. I like what she was talking about. I want to give her a chance to see if she can work and do blah, blah, blah for me. But if you're standing there with a bonnet, halfway dressed like you rolled out the bed or whatnot, in his mind, he's standing there like, I ain't going to say nothing to her because I know that if she came out the house like this, she ain't trying to hear shit from nobody. All right? She ain't trying to hear nothing from nobody. She trying to get, so I ain't going to even be, she's not giving me a friendly provide opportunity. One of the jobs I have, and I would tell this story. I used to be, and this will really predate you, Unicorn, and all you other folks out there. I used to be a full service tech at Sohio, and Sohio was before BP. BP got bought out by Sohio, and when BP bought out Sohio, I started out. I was a full service tech at 55th and St. Clair, that BP. Then I moved from that BP to the BP up on Superior in 26. Worked there for maybe about 7 years. I was the guy, when you pulled up, it used to go bing, bing. You heard the bell ring. I would come outside, pump your gas, check your oil, check your transmission fluid, trying to upsell you on more oil and transmission fluid. And then I also will wash your windows and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I met more people doing that job and got more opportunities that when I left that job, I had so many business cards and stuff of people who I would call back and say, hey, this is Ken. And they all met me and they knew I was good because they liked what I was doing at the gas station. They came up and said, hey, the brother do a good job. He talks, he was conversation went well and that kind of thing. It's being the opportunities that you never know that you get by not being prepared or being present is the biggest part that I want to bring to the young people mind today about this whole conversation. So come out the house like you're ready every time.
Yes.
Never come out looking like you have dressed.
You know, I have been places, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect and I do be rushing out sometimes. I have been in places and spaces when I had on joggers and a t-shirt and ran into somebody and was embarrassed thinking I'm just going to run in and grab some carnation milk or something because I'm in the middle of cooking.
But you didn't have on pajamas. You had joggers and a t-shirt.
Yeah, but even still, because my standard is different from myself. And I understand that. But, you know, like Ken said, come prepared. When
be prepared all the time. Unless you're already prepared. I mean, you know, if you think you got it all. But I'm always looking for opportunity. I never know when it's going to fall. So, Hey, so let's get ready to get on to the program today. You know, we're going to take a quick little break. And when we come back, we got to talk about what's happening here with this sheriff here in town. We got a opportunity to elect a sheriff. I don't know if you guys ever heard, know about that or not, but we're going to talk a little bit about that, see what you guys know about that. Anybody out there, if you got any comments that you want to talk about or have anything that you want to add to that, by doing so, just go ahead and go and leave that comment in our comments and we will bring it up. Lateef is checking that out. If there's anything up, he will put it out there and we will talk about it. So we'll be right back.
Cleveland, this is your show, your topics and your voice. Join in for What's on Your Mind Tuesday on 95.9 FM WOVU. Call in or comment on social media. Let's make this conversation unforgettable. Streaming live on WOVU.org.
Support for WOVU comes from the Civic Engagement Collaborative, empowering and building stronger communities through civic education and engagement. Join them for upcoming community events at Platform 13 on Cedar Ave, Friday, May 1st, and at the Box Spot on Kinsman Road, June 5th, July 10th, and August 7th. Connect, engage, and help create positive change in our neighborhoods. Follow them on social media at Civic Engagement Collab for more information and updates.
Support for WOVU comes from CMSD, inviting families to the Cleveland Back to School Festival on Saturday, August 8th from 9 a.m. to noon at the Cleveland Public Auditorium, 500 Lakeside Avenue East. This free community event features school supplies, educational resources, health and wellness services, enrichment programs, and more to help students start the school year prepared and inspired. Free parking is available at the Willard Garage. Learn more by visiting the Cleveland Metropolitan
Support for WOVU comes from the Make Them Know Your Name Foundation, presenting the 5th annual Pop-Up in the Park. Experience one of Cleveland's signature Labor Day weekend events, featuring live music, food vendors, community, and a spectacular fireworks finale with Grammy Award-winning artist Ashanti and platinum-selling rapper Fabulous. Sunday, September 6th at Mossy in downtown Cleveland. Tickets and event information are available at popupinthepark.com.
Get ready, Cleveland. It's your turn to speak up. Call in and tell us what's on your mind. Join the Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell radio show on 95.9 FM WOVU or stream live at WOVU.org. Let's make your voice count. Let's go.
All right. We are back. And we're here with Judge Michael Nelson, retired Judge Nelson. And we have DJ Unicorn. We got DJ True, Lateef in the house, and we're here today on Strategic Moves radio show, and we're here today to talk a little bit about what's going on in Cleveland. I had did a Substack about a week or so ago, and in this Substack, what I wrote in there was I talked about the sheriff and whether or not we should have an elected sheriff or not here in Cuyahoga County. Part of reason why that story had took place was because Cuyahoga County is in a position right now where they are going to be looking to put back on the ballot an elected sheriff. And what we mean by that, and for the voters or people out there who may not understand, there was a shift in county government some years ago where we changed our government from the government from a 3-commissioner government. We had a recorder, auditor, treasurer, coroner, engineer. We had several, I think it was 10 elected offices. And we went from those 10 elected offices down to less than half, I believe, or just about half. We have some county council members. I think we have about 7 or 8 of those. No, I think we have about 9 or 10 of those, I believe. And then we have our county executive, and don't quote me, we'll get those numbers right on those county council members and stuff. But at this point, the county executive is over the jail and is over the sheriff. The sheriff used to be an elected position here in Cuyahoga County where the voters had an opportunity to vote on that sheriff. Since then, since the county has changed its government, we done had 9 different sheriffs in that position, 9 in 13 years. And that's not all. And I want to be fair to the county executive. Those 9 didn't fall under the current county executive, but through that process of the other 2 predecessors, we done had roughly 9 different different sheriffs at that point. Cuyahoga County is the only county in all 88 counties in Ohio that doesn't have an elected sheriff. Everywhere else, they have an elected sheriff where sheriff comes in and they get a chance to vote. And you get a chance to vote on who that sheriff is and how that works out and whether you like him or not. That's how that works. I was part of the county government when part of the team that helped to change county government. It was a whole bunch of different people involved in it. And when I tell you guys that when I say I'm involved in it, for those people who know that, y'all know I was involved in it. And when I say that, we were at the table and we were inside in this whole game. One of the things that I know that took place that I think people are not talking much about is that when the county government got ready to change, I was just telling the judge here, I believe it was a real big overreaction. I think it was an overreaction, an overreach of what was going on in county government with one of the county commissioners, Jimmy DeMora, Frank Russo, and you may have some other improprieties with some of the other elected officials that were people that might have thought were good things to do, but changing the way government we operate was a really big undertaking, and it was a big decision that was made by a group of people. I was just one of the people who was at the table to kind of help shape direction and kind of help in the marching orders of making it happen once everybody came to an agreement. I can say this, that the sheriff, when that position came about, the sheriff position was not one of the positions that everybody took lightly. When it came about, the county prosecutor's position was available. They wanted to make sure that position stayed elected. They wanted the people to be able to pick that. So the prosecutor didn't go into that bunch. And the sheriff was talked about. Now, the sheriff was talked about because one of the big issues that was going on prior to the government changing was that we were in a big fight in the county. And people just don't understand when I be saying it, but we was always in some type of squabble with the county Democratic Party. And when I say we, I'm talking about African-American Black folks. Now, the squabble we was having with the party was that we wanted to elect a Black sheriff. We had a guy named Clayton, what was his name? I think his name was Clayton Harris. And we ran his campaign, tried to get Clayton Harris to win that spot. We couldn't pull it off. We tried a couple of other opportunities looking for people. At one point or another, I even talked to Sandra Williams about running because she had the qualifications, because you got to have certain qualifications to even be a sheriff, first and foremost. So she even made some of those qualifications because she had some military experience. So make a long story short, or even longer, as we started pulling that stuff together, many of the African-American leaders was in that room, Arnold Pinckney and all the other names that you could think of back in the day who talked about it. And one of the things they kept saying was that we need to do this government, but if we go with this and we keep it as the executive being the person who's in charge of the sheriff, then maybe at that point we can get an African American in at the sheriff's seat. That's what it was. That's all it was. It was like, hey, we got a good opportunity now to get a black sheriff. And so the unwritten rule, I guess you could say, are things as things kind of progress, the county government changed. As the county government changed, if you notice who the first sheriff was when we got new county government, it was a brother who kept that position under Ed Fitzgerald for a little while. And as you know, that never worked out because it was really never about race or anything in the first place. It was all about the position and why the position needed to be in the way that it needed to be and why it should have been legislated so that the sheriff was the elected position. And being the highest ranking law enforcement in the county, the sheriff should be that. The sheriff should be someone that if you have an issue with as an individual, you should not have to go through the county executive and ask the county executive for the sheriff help. Now you will say, well, that's what you got to do. No, that ain't really how that works. I'm not saying that's how that works, but what I'm saying is that relationships are important. So as an elected official, as a person like Unicorn, who's doing these meetings that she's doing in her community, and Mike Nelson with the work he's doing with all the various different things he's doing, it's best for us to have our own relationship with those people outside of the executive, whoever it is. And I'm not saying that Chris is a bad guy and we shouldn't work with him. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm saying what happens if Chris ain't the executive anymore.
Let's talk about this. Let's jump in there, man.
Go ahead.
The sheriff who was in office at the time of the county scandal was Gerald McFall.
No, he wasn't.
Gerald McFall was the one that was sheriff when the scandal hit. He was the person that was in part of the scandal.
He was not the sheriff.
Who was he?
He had retired by then.
But the scandal enveloped his office as well.
That's the muckety muck in it, and that's why I want to say because he was gone. That's all muckety muck.
May have, but he was indicted. So you had 70 at the time of this. The county scandal was probably the largest in the state of Ohio, and I am an opponent of county government. But then when I go back and look at how it occurred, how the transition occurred, you had 70 elected officials and or contractors and other public officials go either to jail or wind up with criminal records as a result of this huge scandal. It was the biggest scandal. And the other thing about most scandals, most voters don't really reject the form of government unless it's a catastrophic kind of event that takes place. In Cuyahoga County, it wasn't just one office that was tainted with scandal. Multiple offices across the political spectrum were tainted with scandal. So that sort of drove the voters to support the ideas that were pushed by the good government people. Let's get rid of the 3-commission form of government and go to a charter form of government where you have an elected county executive. And instead of having those independent ROW people, in case you can't hear me clearly, independent row elected officials, the auditor, the coroner, the sheriff, the prosecutor, and the clerk of courts, and on, we would then come up with an 11-member county council. We would give the county executive the power to appoint what were formerly row officers. And that was the biggest change. And then people pointed to the fact that, well, we had one party rule. There weren't the proper checks and balances. The patronage system was being abused. And, so they sort of tainted, and as you use the word mucky mucked, they muddied the water because politics is about patronage. Let's just be honest about it. You elect people who hope will help you down the line. Yes, you want good government, but you elect people who will help you down the line. That's how a lot of people think. And that's fair. But what they did was the good government people took advantage of the corruption. For example, when McFall was sheriff, he was a plumber. He had no law enforcement experience, period. Not a bit, not a single ounce of law enforcement experience. So then they decided, well, we're going to make that an appointed position too. Instead of modifying the requirements to make sure you had a person with elected with
well, they
fire.
did modify it.
Yeah.
It got modified because when Clayton decided to run and
Clayton
others,
Harris,
there was qualifications
right.
that you had to have in order to do that.
So they created those, but prior to that, there was no qualification.
Yeah.
So now you put an appointed sheriff, and there's certain counties, Denver, for example, they appoint the sheriff, and there are a couple other community cities where a sheriff is appointed, but it limits the independence of the sheriff. It creates so many conflicts of interest, and then that's one reason the prosecutor is not one of the appointed officials. That would just be a disaster. So when we look at that, the scandal was so pervasive that it was an easy target for the do-gooders to go after in order to, take away that.
Yeah, but it was a situation where the sheriff, I'm telling y'all, and one of the things I said I was going to do, and I'm going to tell y'all the truth, and I'm going to let y'all know it the way I know it. I was at the table. The sheriff could have been an elected position.
It should have been.
It should have been. The politics in the room at that time did not allow that to happen. Yeah. That was it.
That's my point.
And I will say that it was because of selfish reasons on why it didn't happen. That backfired. Okay? Terribly backfired. Yeah. And that's why the sheriff to this day is in the position it's in. And you can, I don't know who you want to blame it on or who you want to say, Kenn, well, you was that. No, it wasn't me. I wasn't in the power. Yeah. But I can tell you that I know that was one of the reasons why we're in the position we're in today with the sheriff. And again, that was a situation of something that didn't work. In fact, hell, I guess I could go as far as to say, Judge, I think we was trying to do a form of DEI.
Cliff Pinckney, when he was appointed, was probably the best sheriff we had, and he got caught up with not in his own problems, but he had so many people that were in charge of him.
Well, that and he was responsible for the jail, right, which meant he had to wear the jacket, but technically he wasn't.
He had no resources.
Well, here's where I was getting at. Technically, he really wasn't.
Right.
Because the executive was.
Right.
So the executive benefits from all the good that happens out of the jail in that situation, but everything that's bad, it falls,
right.
What they say, it all rolls downhill, right? So when that started happening, it rolls downhill, it falls on the sheriff. Oh, we done had some people die over here. That's a sheriff problem, not an executive problem. Oh, the meals in the jail is bad. That's a sheriff problem. Now that's where the fight comes in. That's why I believe wholeheartedly that the sheriff, being the biggest law enforcement person in there. Now, here's another example where I don't get. If I was a county council member and I was working at county council and I was there, I would want the sheriff to be independent as well. If I was to say that the executive was doing something improper, if I saw that his staff or members or others was doing something I didn't think that was right, I want to have the confidence of knowing that I was able to go talk to him, tell him what was going on. And if he wanted to do an investigation on that or in that office, he can do that. I wouldn't feel that comfortable knowing that if Mike Nelson and Lateef were buddies, and Lateef was the executive, and Unicorn said, go check out Kenn, and Mike go back and tell Lateef, well, they want me to check out Kenn. That part is a big. Now, when we talk about corruption, that's the part right there that I think that what we're talking about eliminates that. Go ahead, Judge.
Well, after the scandal, let's move past the scandal. The scandal was the motivation, it was the catalyst for change. But let's talk about what happened in the sheriff. Who actually ran the sheriff's office? It was Kenn Miles who ran the sheriff's office.
Yeah,
Mills ran the sheriff's office. Pinckney had the responsibility, but the fiscal control rested with the jail director. So the jail director is the one. If Pinckney said, I need X, Y, and Z to make sure they need to replace the trays in the jail because they all cracked and mold is all in the cracks. That Pinckney could see it and said we need it, but Mills is the one who who had the authority to make the change. And so when Pinckney would raise issues, common sense issues, the fiscal authority, however, was in the jail director. And if the jail director didn't make those changes, of course, like you said, Pinckney had to wear, or the sheriff had to wear the jacket. The deaths in the jail, the assignment of officers. There was one lady, because I was really into this thing about the jail, because I raised hell about it when I became a judge, which led to the Department of Justice coming to check it out. When I said I wouldn't send anybody else into it till they made it safe. Safe was not only the physical safety, but it was also the food safety and the personnel assignment. They had a lady corrections officer who was assigned to a men's pod. And this was, they got better hours. Whoever assigned to those pods got better hours and made more money. She had a 12 or 14-hour shift. And because they refused to send anybody to relieve her, she couldn't go to the bathroom. So what happened? She just dropped right there on the floor, urinated. Because she did not get relief, so she could leave, because she couldn't leave the floor. Because there'd have been nobody to monitor the
No, I'd have left the floor. That ain't my problem.
But the fact is that was the lack of management that was in place. And that wasn't Pinckney's fault. Okay. Even Pinckney's subordinates, that he tried to supervise, would bypass him and go to the jail director.
Or the jail. That's why I'm trying to say all of it was, it never worked. Let me ask you this question here. The question is, back in 29, the cell was the appointed sheriff would clean up all the things after the corruption of the scandal. I'm asking you, do you think this new system delivered on what they promised?
Oh, no, because they still have the same issues going on. Since those 9 people died in a 4-month period in 2018, 2017, or 2018, the actual organization, because there was this conflict in who was in charge. Now, right now, the sheriff has just decided, look, if I'm gonna be responsible for this run, this bad boy, I'm gonna be responsible. So he is very adamant that his position should be elected a position, because when it, like you said, when stuff rolls downhill, it rolls on top of him, and he doesn't have the control that he needs. He's there every day. He knows what goes on in the jail. And you can't have a third party somewhere else looking over things after they happen. You need somebody who can respond in real time and can prepare for the eventualities based on their own experience. So
there was a study done by the Marshall Project where they pulled some numbers back. Black drivers got 75% of the tickets that units hand out. 60% of those were low level, suspended license, window seat belts, things of that nature. And the sheriff department at this point doesn't really do a lot of that work downtown. One of the issues that the people downtown were having is that they're saying that, they would like to have more protection. And I believe and everybody would like more protection. And we all know that the sheriff department has a huge department that's downtown where they could be able to work something out with some of those businesses, and we should be able to get a better look at that. I believe in an elected role that the sheriff will have a little bit more autonomy to be able to deal with the business owners and the developers downtown to make downtown a more safer place to be with the amount of police officers they got. Now, you will say, well, why don't they do that now with the executive? I have no reason. I don't understand it at all. It could be that they don't get along politically with the mayor of the city of Cleveland, and that could be an issue. Who knows what it is? But my point is that that's something that I believe that having a person who is responsible by the people makes them more willing to kind of bend over backwards for the people. If I was a councilman in the city of Cleveland and I worked with Lateef as being the sheriff, and I helped him on his campaign to get there, or I helped him just period. If I call Lateef and say, hey man, I could use some help on this event we're doing Saturday, can we get the sheriff to do blah, blah, blah? It's chances are I can possibly work that out better with the sheriff than trying to work that out with the executive, who has all the other things that it has to deal with. I just think that the jail is a very serious piece of situation. We deal with a lot of people who goes in and out of that situation all the time. And I think having someone that you can respond to personally is the best way. Let me ask Lateef something. Lateef, you been dealing with this kind of stuff and you've been hearing what we've been talking about. Are you familiar with that, or do you did you know that the sheriff was not elected?
No,
hold on, we gotta get your mic on. Come on around here. Just come on over here and grab this one. That way it'll be easier and we ain't gotta go through a lot. This you here?
No, that's Judge. No, I didn't know that it wasn't elected.
So you didn't know we didn't have an elected person for that position all this time?
No, but I was used to that because, you know, I lived in Summit County and Portage County. And I know both of those counties have elected officials, elected sheriffs. So I just assumed that Cleveland had it.
The county.
Yeah. Summit County and Portage County both have elected sheriffs.
Well, you know, the sheriff's duties are pretty clearly nailed out. They're responsible for the court. They're responsible for transporting inmates back and forth. They run the jail operations, takes care of everything related to the Justice Center, and they protect the public when they're in the court towers. And they do some law enforcement and detective work, especially when it relates to being part of regional task forces, financial fraud, public corruption, and they also execute warrants. So if there's a warrant given out signed by a judge, it's usually executed by a sheriff. And then, of course, they also provide protective services when it comes to county-owned properties. So they have a broad range of things, and then they do some help in certain local. You'll see them out involved in certain police issues. So that's one of the things that takes place with that. So the sheriff, inmate visitation, all that kind of stuff. That's all in the sheriff's.
So is the format of not having an elected sheriff similar to how the mayor can appoint the police chief? Does that mimic that same arrangement for the county?
And yes, and the sheriff and the county can fire because he becomes an at-will employee. So any dispute they have, no matter how minor or major, the county executive could fire the sheriff. Now, I'm not saying that's what the county executive will do, but that's what the county executive can do.
Unicorn, did you know that the sheriff was not elected or appointed in this town, or do it matter to you in the bigger picture?
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I didn't know we had sheriffs. I thought sheriffs were reserved for small towns with low populations.
Wow.
But I'm learning. I'm learning a lot. Getting involved in civic engagement, and thank you for educating me.
That's fine. So you never knew we had a sheriff at all?
No.
Really?
I did not. I thought, like I said, I thought sheriffs were reserved for populations of less than 1,000 in very small towns. And it's interesting to find out not only do we have a sheriff, but it was scandals with the sheriffs. That's not surprising, sadly. But for us to be able to vote, whether we want to be able to vote in a sheriff or not, it's refreshing. And I think we should be able to vote for pretty much everything. It's a level of taking away our rights when we no longer get a choice. Now, whether higher ups and politicians feel like everyone is not exercising their right, their democratic right, that's not, to me, that should not be in the equation of whether this should be an option or not for the people. I understand why the questions come up, But at the end of the day, everyone should have the opportunity to exercise democracy.
What you say, Lateef? Vote or no? You okay with the way it is, or we should have it elected?
I think we should have an elected sheriff. I was always used to having an elected sheriff. So,
You moved.
Oh, yeah, he moved. That's all.
Say that again.
Say it again.
No, I was always used to having an elected sheriff. From living in Portage County and Summit County. Always seeing, election time, you always see it, vote for this sheriff or whatever, so not really knowing how Cleveland did it. I thought they were still electing the sheriff. So, but I think
Roy
we should.
Dean.
Just hearing the argument of, a lot of things kind of getting blamed on the sheriff that may not have been fair, just because now he's more so under the county executor, or anybody else. I just think that I've always known the sheriff to be more of an independent office. And if the people like the sheriff, they vote him in. If they don't like him, they vote him out.
And Lateef, the reason you have that position is because out of the 88 counties in the state of Ohio, 87 of them elect their sheriffs.
We're the only one who don't.
87 counties elect their sheriff, and it works fine. So for some reason,
why do we got to be the black sheep?
Well, some people don't think. I don't know. I don't know if the do-gooders decide.
Well, we're the only one in the state who don't have an elected school board neither. Cleveland is an interesting place.
This whole county is.
Interesting. We the only. Every other county has an elected school board. Their school board members. We're the only one that has an appointed school board, and that's going to be another show, y'all, because we're going to get into that one.
Definitely has to be another show because the people made a mistake letting that fly.
Yeah,
you're right.
A whole nother show.
It seems as if people don't think that people who live in Cuyahoga County and or Cleveland should have the right to vote. We argue about the Voting Rights Act.
Right.
When Cleveland is the one place, and Cuyahoga County, they are the two places where they can take your right to vote away, and we let them.
And that was one of the other things that took place in that room when we talk about it. The Republicans and the good government folks, because good government people, as Mike said, were good government. They don't mean they were all good Democrats. It was good government people. Those people in the room thought this new government was a way to also be able to get more Republicans in the office, because they were able to have more of these county council seats, as now we have a few Republicans that are on county council where before we didn't. Think about this, people.
And I don't use good government as a compliment.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. Right.
It ain't a compliment.
I want us to think about this when we talk about voter apathy. The corruption aside, you had 10 elected officials in Cuyahoga County who was running for office, usually at one time. 10 elected officials, 13 who had the ability to hire people in their office to do what they wanted to do, or bring people on and let people go. They had their own autonomy to do that. The apathy and the voter engagement in the county was much more higher then, because you had more people out there telling you to run. Unicorn may not knew who the sheriff was, but maybe she knew who the damn recorder. Maybe she knew who the recorder was because of the fact that she knew Kenn. And I met the sheriff today. Fine, I didn't know we had a sheriff. I went somewhere with Kenn because he convinced me. You see what I mean? All of that got stripped away and took away now because we don't have that. So before you get there, Lateef, I'm gonna let you. We're gonna go before I let you go. I want to ask Judge one last question, and hold on to yours. Do you believe this elected sheriff, as it relates to African Americans, do you think right now, the way we are, how you believe it works on a power issue for us? Do it helps us with our ability to have a stronger Black power infrastructure of electing a sheriff versus appointing a sheriff, as it relates to us and trying to achieve more power?
I will use the example of the pre-county executive form of government. We always, for many years, we had a Black elected county commissioner, which meant we were in the power base, whether it was Virgil Brown, Peter Lawson Jones. We had somebody in the power structure. And I don't mean that they had to get permission. I mean, they were able to run their department. Mm-hmm. And then we elected Stephanie Tubbs Jones as the prosecutor. Mm-hmm. That's one of the largest law firms in the area. Mm-hmm. 400 and some people that she was in charge of. She didn't have to go check with nobody. She didn't have to follow. That's power.
That's correct.
So if we're able to elect a sheriff, and I don't know how many people they have employed in the sheriff's office, but they run major institution in town. They run the entire courthouse. Mm-hmm. They provide protection for everybody, and all them little cars run around with sheriff on it. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the example of the power that the elected sheriff. So yes, if we get elected sheriff, that is a major power base. And as you said earlier, Ken, the fact that we had 11, 12, 13, actually 14 elected officials, that meant that voters are more likely to get involved because all of them need to be elected independently.
Yeah, a bunch of, I just can go back here. Back in the day, some of those races were very, they were a lot of people running. And they were contested. A lot of them was. And so with that, you had people out there doing it. Okay. Lateef, what you have before we got 2 minutes and we out of here.
So how long ago was it that they kind of overturned the election of sheriffs?
208.
208. And
209, excuse me, is when it took place.
So within the last 18 years, have you seen, what's been the worst thing about the non-election of sheriffs?
The 9 people that went through there, all those different sheriffs, and you had all those deaths that took place there. And we were building a jail that they still in the process of trying to build. I mean, we can go on and on with that. I don't know if the food got any better over there. I don't know if the situation, and I'm not saying it hasn't, don't get me wrong, but when you go through it, that's what you get. Judge, we got about a minute.
Well, all I can tell you is that when we elected auditor, clerk of courts, coroner, engineer, prosecuting attorney, recorder, sheriff, and a treasurer. Each one of those had a campaign team. That meant there was jobs available to qualified people.
Coroner had it and run for office.
Yeah. And and we no longer have that civic activity.
All right, people, that's it. I want y'all to go to realpower.tv to get more information about what we're doing. And next week, we will be right back. See you then. Peace.
What's on your mind this Tuesday, Cleveland? Let's talk art.
WOVU-LP Cleveland, a Burton Bell car station.
This is Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell.